Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Alex, and I have spent more than 20 years working inside global logistics and supply chains. Long enough to see how the world moves, and long enough to notice when something stops moving the way it should. Over these years, sustainability has been a constant companion, not a trend, not a corporate checkbox, but a practical question that kept returning. Why do our systems create outcomes no one actually wants? Why do we design products that cannot return to the world that created their materials? And why do we call this progress? I have watched the industry change, evolve, rebrand itself, but not always in the right direction. And the more I saw, the more one truth became impossible to ignore. We are surrounded by beautiful promises, yet the reality behind them is far less elegant. This podcast is my attempt to speak about the reality openly without slogans, without marketing language, and without pretending that complex problems can be solved with simple diagrams. So today we begin one of the most polished concepts of our time, the circular economy and the illusion that often hides behind it. For years we've heard same story that materials don't really end, that they go back into the system, that they come back into the system as something new. It sounds good, it sounds modern, and it sounds like the problem is under control. You've seen the picture many times, a clean circle, arrows going around, products coming back, nothing really wasted. On slides and in reports, it looks perfect, no mess, no leftovers. Just a smooth loop where everything finds its way home. The real world doesn't look like that, doesn't work like that. The systems we actually build, factories, transport, retail, the way we buy and throw away, they were never designed to move in circles. They were designed to move in one direction, and that's only forward. We take materials out of the ground, we turn them into the products, and we use those products, and then we get rid of them. Most of what we make does not come back into the system. It doesn't quietly re enter the loop, it just moves on to the next stage landfill, burning, dumping, or slow decay. So, what we call a circular economy today is often a straight line that we describe using the language of a circle. From extraction to production to use to waste. A line. Let's look at some of the things we use every day. A plastic bag, simple, cheap, always there. We use it for a few minutes, but it stays on the planet for a very, very long time. That alone should make us stop and think. Then we have tires. We don't remember them until something goes wrong. But every time we drive, they slowly grind themselves into tiny pieces. Those particles end up in the air, in the soil, in the water, and sooner or later inside us. Batteries. They often last longer than the devices they power. We throw away the phone or the gadget, but the battery keeps existing somewhere in the system, full of chemistry still waiting to go somewhere. Synthetic textiles, comfortable, light, easy to wash, but every time we do laundry, small fibers break off and go down to the drain. They move through pipes, rivers, seas, and end up in the ocean. We don't see it, but it happens every single day. And then electronics. Phones, laptops, headphones, screens, they die fast. The smart part disappears quickly, but the physical shell and the metals inside do not. They just don't. They turn into e waste, one of the most toxic waste streams we have ever created. None of these things return in the way we like to imagine. They don't melt back into nature. They don't quietly close some perfect loop. They stay, they pile up, they move into places that were never meant to hold them. We like to think we live in a very advanced society, but the waste we leave behind is quite simple. Here is the part that's hardest to accept. Our economy is not built around durability or safe return or long term responsibility. It is built around something else: movement, speed, volume, make more, sell more, replace faster. If a product lasts too long or if it's easy to repair, it slows the entire system down. So we end up with the designs that break where they should be strong and stay almost permanent, where they should disappear. From a business perspective, this is easy to explain. From planetary perspective, it's a slow motion disaster. In a system like this, waste is not an accident, it is not poor planning. It is built in from the very beginning. And when we later cover it with soft language about circularity, nothing changes except the story. Nature works differently. In nature, nothing goes away, everything goes somewhere, everything becomes something else. A leaf falls, it breaks down, it becomes soil, food, new life. A tree dies, it becomes shelter, it becomes part of the forest bed, nothing stays useless. Now, compare that to our industrial world. We create materials that have no natural place to go once we are done with them. Plastic does not belong to any natural cycle. Most chemicals inside batteries and electronics don't either. They don't turn into nutritions, they don't break down into safety, they just remain. And if the planet could speak, it might say something simple: I can handle storms, heat, ice time, but I cannot easily handle materials that never truly return. And every year we push this limit further. We create more ways than nature can absorb or transform. And a system that takes more than it returns eventually reaches a breaking point. There is another layer here. The way we talk about all of this, we become very good at finding soft words for hard problems. We say sustainable packaging, green alternatives, circular business models. Sounds positive, hopeful, makes the problem feel smaller. But language doesn't move matter. Labels don't change what happens in landfills, in oceans, or in the air. The basic facts remain. We can call this circular if we want, but deep down we know it isn't a circle. It's a straight line described with softer language. We often dress waste up as something cleaner, something greener, something almost hopeful, and hope no one looks too closely. And here is the real turning point. We don't live in a circular economy. We live in an economy that turns resources into waste efficiently, quickly, predictably, because that's how it was designed. It isn't broken, it's functioning exactly as it intended. And if we treat waste as a mistake, we will keep trying to fix things at the edges. And you being here and you recycling project there. But if we see waste as a design choice, then the question changes. It becomes, how do we build system where waste is not the default outcome, where it is not the cheapest option, where return doesn't mean a marketing term, but an actual physical process. Those are harder questions, but they are the real ones. And this is where I'll end the first episode. Not with a list of easy solutions and not with the promises that technology alone will fix everything. Instead, with a shift in perspective. Waste is not just what we throw away, it's what our systems are built to produce. Once we understand that, we can start asking different questions about design, about responsibility, and about the future we actually building. Thank you for listening, and if this made you think, stay with me. We have much more to explore.